My name is Jane Cordell. Living in the UK, we expect to have certain basic rights. For example, we expect to be able to get good education, to go on training courses, to be able to find a good job, to become financially independent. We also expect to be able to enjoy leisure time, maybe to go on holiday, to stay in hotels, feel safe and free, or maybe to go to an art gallery or cultural institution. Also, we expect to be able to access health services when we need them at the important times in our life. But what if we couldn't access this? What if there were barriers to all these very basic experiences? I asked 6 adults who are deaf about their real-life experiences, and these are their stories.
My name is Jane. But it's going to an art gallery or museum. So it's what they want is some clear information about where things are, quickly, where the schools are. They want to avoid having to ask down for information. I think that's very important. Not nice. They'll charge you how to approach and be trained to approach anybody that comes in, and it doesn't teach everybody. They make it to a map at the start, talking to the map, and they need to agree with everybody talking at the beginning.
My name is Wayne Thomas, and I'm here on behalf of Manchester Deaf Club with the Job Club. I started coming to the Job Club about 6 months ago. I have been looking for work for over 7 months now. First 6 months I couldn't get a job or a training course because I've been employed for just under 6 months. And then after the 6 months, I managed to get on to the training course, but I could not get on the training course because there was no interpreter or lip reader available for me. The job centre will not pay for interpreter or lip reader because there was no job at the end of the training course. There would only be 5 one if there was a job at the end of the course, so therefore the job centre have failed me on that, and I'm not happy about that. When they offered me the training course, I felt very, very good. So when I went for the interview, I asked for one-to-one interpreter, and they reviewed, well, that let me down badly. But because of the Manchester Deaf Club, Job Club, they have helped me to build my confidence back up, but therefore, they still can't get an interpreter or a lip reader because there's no job at the end of it. Every time my confidence get built up great, and all of a sudden get built back down because they can't do anything because it's a part of the job centre rule.
My name is Elaine Davino from Manchester Centre. I worked for 34 years examination board, and I took voluntary redundancy. And when I went to the job centre, I thought, we'll try and get a job, look for a job. I went onto the website, looked for first aid court, and I want to go on to prove guilt. Well, I thought I applied, but they respond an email, and I said I was likely turbicid or lip speaker, and they replied back. They said no, they refused. And they said they can't get it. So I thought, well, I'm trying to think why I can't get turbicid or lip speaker, which is not fair. I need someone there so I can understand what the first aid course is about. And it's difficult for me when I got there in the group. And hopefully I would be able to understand, but it would be better to have interpreted. But the fact is that they're refusing to do it, which I'm not happy about it. They should be able to do it.
Hello, my name is Brenda Hamlin, and I am from here, Manchester. I found myself feeling incredibly dizzy, and as a result, I fell flat on the ground. I was on the floor, and I banged my back considerably hard, and my husband was actually in the other room. I was luckily I was heavy like an elephant when I did fall, because my husband could hear or sense that I had fallen, so it must have been a considerable fall, enough for him to respond. He came, he saw me, he was in shock, he tried to pull me up, he didn't know what had happened, and I was just, at this stage, I just thought, I wasn't sure what was going on, and we needed an ambulance. I was amazed because my husband then, he texted for an ambulance or emergency response. He's deaf also, so I didn't realise that you could do that. We tried it, and it was about 11:30 at night, and the ambulance came before 12 o'clock. Within the half hour. I thought that was fantastic in terms of responses to a text service. So I was taken to the hospital. Communication was very difficult. They did the routine checkups. They sent me for x-rays just to determine if I had hurt myself or broken any bones. There were no broken bones. But I just thought, they were like, why am I still screaming with pain? They couldn't determine if there was any, well, they saw through the x-ray there were no broken bones. But what they did then, they sent me in for an assessment to try and find out why I'm still screaming, why my pain is so high. But they couldn't find the reason or the source. So what they ended up doing is they moved me to the stroke ward. Again, they couldn't determine the source of my pain. As a result of that, they took me to the rehabilitation centre. That was a very, very bad experience. Communication was little to none. I had to write down a lot of information. A lot of the people there were older, and they didn't necessarily, they weren't able to read. They had to have glasses there to support them, and it just made me absolutely exhausted. I'm trying to communicate with them. I remember one morning I was sitting up for breakfast, and I felt a bit cold. And one woman came along, and I tried to get her attention. I asked, would you mind closing the door behind me? But she wasn't even prepared to answer me or engage in communication with me. She just ignored the request and walked on. So she ignored me. And I just thought, right, well, if that's the level of attitude, I just thought I'm going to have to be independent and proactive and do it myself. So I have a frame to support me, which I was using whilst in hospital. I went back into my room, and they came later on trying to see if I wanted any more breakfast, to which I refused. Then half an hour later, a nurse came along and said, "Oh, hello, here's your medication today, Mrs. Hamlin." And I said to her, I was like, "No, point blank refused." And she was shocked. My refusal to take the medication, she didn't know what to do. She became very panicked at that response. And she must have gone back to her nurse's room or the staff room. I texted my son in the interim, and he responded very quickly to my text. He came along to the hospital to try and see if he could support me or see what the problem was. He arrived within half an hour, and the first word, or before I could explain anything, he just said, "Look, Mum, can you please take the medication?" To which again, I refused. And my son, he knows my way. I'm very persistent. And being the diplomat, he tried to stress how important it is for me to take the medication. And I was still adamant. I was like, the way I'd be treated, I was like, "No, I'm not taking the medication." And he tried to persuade me. And he could sense, as could I, that something wasn't right. So after some persuasion, I took the medication, and the nurse was very, very relieved. However, later I actually found out that my blood count was dangerously low. And because I refused that specific medication, it became a massively serious situation. It just made the nursing staff there to think twice about their patients, not to ignore them, just point blank walk past and not engage with them. And this was a very recent experience that I had had at hospital.
Hi, my name's Derek. I've been a member of the Matthias Centre for many years. For almost the last 10 years, I've been a trustee of this club. The communication with the deaf and hearing people is absolutely different. I could hear myself one time. I went deaf at the beginning of the war, and that's just after 1940. Since then, I've been profoundly deaf. I can't hear anything at all. But luckily, I can recite my speech. So, I'm happy with that. When people go on holiday, or they go in hotels, all of them have a fire alarm system. But the fire alarm system is for hearing people, not the deaf. How do the deaf people know what's happening if there's a fire downstairs? We don't know. I'll tell you an example. What's happened there with me and my wife in the year we decided to go on an holiday in Fort William. Coached to got for the hotel, signed in. I told the receptionist my wife had death. If anything that will please inform us. Okay, she can put it down in the book. But what she wrote, I have no idea. Anyhow, midway through the holiday, the fire was in the hotel. Alarm went off. Everybody in the hotel evacuated. Was told to sit in the coaches. They came in. After 3 or 4 different coaches, sit in that coaches. the drive that the coach counts there. One leg on the other there, so 2 more death drives it. Oh, and they probably in another coach, let's get that. A wheel was in the files going all night. A wheel was still in bed. With no idea what was that until the next morning. I got up, went downstairs to get some newspaper for breakfast. Smell of burning. Was that in it? Walked down to the restaurant area where we have the breakfast. Back in the kitchen. Well, I asked the little reception, what happened? Oh, it's a big fire here last night. I said, it's a big fire. Well, why didn't you tell me? Why? The alarm went off. He said, I told you before I was dead. Was I was still in your bedroom? Oh, it's terrible. I complained about it. They gave me the address of the top management of the hotel in London. Got back home. I wrote for them. I didn't even bother to reply.
Who am I? Well, my name's Jen. I live in Yorkshire and I have 2 kids. I work as a translator and a number of other things as well. I consider myself to be a fairly empowered person, and I'm quite aware of my rights, and I feel I've got a number of skills in communicating with people, but still I do face barriers to access sometimes. One particular experience which has stayed with me was during my pregnancy, when I discussed with my midwife what my birth plan would be and what the arrangements for an interpreter would be in that situation. And what happened to me, and it's something that happens to a lot of deaf women I've since discovered, is that the midwife was told from higher up, the powers that be, that they weren't really prepared to pay for an interpreter, it was too expensive, and would I make do, please, with a midwife who could sign a little bit. The signing midwife had level 2, which she had passed about 10 years ago and was very rusty. I refused that. I didn't think that was an appropriate form of access. And I'd explained, I could die in this situation. It's really important that I have proper communication. So there are lots of situations like that come up all over the UK for deaf women, particularly giving birth. But lots of people, and not everybody's as confident as me in challenging poor decisions like that. I do wonder how many deaf women have, had awful birth experiences or maybe even lost a baby because of situations like that. I think there really needs to be some proper, well thought out national strategy. It needs to be more joined up, because at the moment it's just a postcode lottery. One area's got good provision, other areas don't. In terms of maternity services, it should be a standard provision, and the same for all health-related appointments, really. When I go to the doctor, just to my GP for a minor ailment, I'm quite happy to speak for myself or to use pen and paper, and so it hasn't been an issue for me. But if it was a serious illness, I would want an interpreter, and at the moment I don't have the automatic right to that. Yeah, I think a lot of deaf people feel very disenfranchised. They feel they don't feel like they owe society anything. They don't feel like they want to contribute, and in some ways they feel almost entitled to compensation in some way. They see problems in society as hearing people's problems, and they feel very angry that they're excluded from that, but also that they're oppressed in other ways. And I think that it's a big problem to better participation. And I don't think it's to do with the skills and ability of deaf people. It's to do with the language. It's a language barrier. Yeah, and I think that that's a coping strategy for a lot of people. It's a sort of self-preservation. They don't ask because they know that it's likely that they will fail, and too much failure is damaging to your self-esteem. Sometimes it might be confidence as well. I mean, the deaf community is very strong in supporting itself, but it has quite a group mentality in some ways. So I think, that when you hear of one person having a bad experience, that kind of spreads, and I think it's difficult.
These are all our experiences. And since we started making film, we've received several further examples, including a woman who had her child removed from her by social services because she wasn't able to access fully a course on parenting, and including someone whose friend is basically trapped in a protected accommodation because they've created a new rule saying that you have to telephone with your voice to be able to book an appointment to see them. These are the type of stories that few people would believe in the UK in 2015. We need further examples from you, and we very much welcome these as evidence to build our story. Thank you to you for watching this film. If you are interested in sending your own experiences, please follow the link which will now appear at the end of this film. Thank you.